All right, what's up, guys? Testing out my new iPhone 14 Pro camera. That's actually pretty cool, being able to link it to my computer and record through Zoom, record through FaceTime and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna try this out. Today I'm doing something a little bit new. I'm trying to talk a little bit about shoes. You may have seen the hashtag ERoO love shoes and my explanations of things, but I felt like I should put together a YouTube video that helps explain a little bit about the things that I've repeated over the years, right? One of the first things I want to talk about is how, for a NBA player, right, a professional, it's actually shown that they switch out their shoes up to, once every 3 wears. Now, there are some players that will wear a brand new pair of shoe every single time that they play. However, it's shown through the research that the rubber on the outside of a shoe very quickly will wear out after 3 full wears. I like to think of, if they're in the gym for 8 hours for the day, 3 full wears is going to add up to about 24 total hours of playtime, right? And you have to think about, for an NBA player, they're a bit heavier than us, they output more forces, and so the traction may rub away a little bit faster for them. But the very first thing you want to understand for any shoe is, you're as a basketball player, without traction, it's very hard to do anything on the floor. You may have seen people slide around. Some people like to take their outdoor shoes, bring them inside, and if they're missing traction on them, they end up almost being like on skates. And having the wrong type of traction profile underneath your foot can actually cause injury, can make it very hard to play the game of basketball. So, the very first thing that you're looking for in a basketball shoe, one of them is going to be that traction and the traction pattern. Now, what you want to look for on the bottom of these is, the design of the traction should be spaced out enough where dust doesn't necessarily collect in between and make it hard for it to get out, but you also want it to have pliable rubber, soft enough to move around and to catch onto and grip onto the finish of the hardwood floor, but also durable enough not to wear away, after just a few wears. And depending on the type of shoe and depending on the type of, the company that you're looking at, there may be more durable, less durable types of rubber that they use, okay? What else? The second thing I want to talk about is the cushion, right? The cushion, or you can always see the mid foam or the midsole underfoot. The cushion system is extremely important. Now, depending on your shoe, most of them that we're used to have the cushion built into the shoe, meaning that it's in here and it's not removable. You can't take it out. There are some in which have thicker insoles or thicker midsoles that they've put in here. There, for example, some Kobe shoes and some replaceable midsole shoes. Sometimes they'll take the shoe, create the rubber around it, keep the rubber on the outside of it, and they'll have something removable for you on the inside. But either way, you need something underfoot to cushion the blows that your legs, your lower body has to take when absorbing the forces from jumping. A quick little thing of, when you jump, you output a certain amount of force, but when you land actually from that same height, you're absorbing up to potentially 8 times that initial, or 8 times the force, or 8 times your body weight of sorts. So, just for a frame of reference here, if I'm 150 pounds, right, and it's 8 times the force that I need to be able to absorb on a landing, that could be as much as potentially 1,200 or 1,200 pounds of force or eccentric force I need to absorb with my legs. Now, keep in mind, a lot of it comes down to the way and the angles of your ankles, knees, hips, and how you're able to absorb and compress like a spring, right? You absorb that force. But a basketball player will jump 50 to 100 times in a game, sometimes even more if you happen to be a rebounder or a big man. And so being able to absorb that and relieve the body of those extra stresses allows you to play for longer as well. But you also want to think of it too. The cushion needs to be a very nice balance between softness, but also sturdiness, okay? So my example would be, you wouldn't necessarily want to put 2 mattress pads underneath your foot, right? Foot-shaped mattress pads. Just that in itself, yes, it would compress, but every time you need to compress and then move, that would take away reaction time as well. So there are different types of cushioning systems that are right in between that type of cushion versus responsiveness, and depending on how close it is to the ground, or how much give it really does have, or they call it a durometer. The press or the reaction in that, depending on the shoe. So for example, Kyrie shoes are built to be a little bit closer to the ground so that he can have faster reaction times. Nike also has something called Zoom Air, which is essentially a bubble, a plastic bubble, you can imagine. And there's 2 types. There's Nike Air, which is their running design, and it's usually seen, it's visible in some shoes where it has these big columns in between. And this is their mattress pad type of cushioning. So it's mostly used for running. LeBron likes to use Max Air as well, just because he's a bigger, heavy set guy. And Max Air is kind of Nike's, long-term signature type of patent that they do have. Now, Zoom, what they have is they have these, it's still an air pocket of encased in plastic, but what they have in here is they pretty much have these fibers, these tinsel fibers that are glued to the top and the bottom of this. So there's a piece of fabric up here, there's a piece of fabric down here, and in between you've got these these tension strings pulling in between. And every time you compress, they spring back up. So it's almost as if this, I would equate a little bit more to like a trampoline type of underfoot. And you can imagine if you're taking in all that force and it's coming down, and you have this trampoline that in a sense allows you to return energy, not only absorb the energy, but return it as well. There are certain products and there are certain designs out there that allow you to do that with your shoe, okay? Now, in addition, so we talked about traction was the first thing, cushioning is the second one. The third thing I want to talk about is a midfoot shank. Depending on the shoe, depending on the designer, and depending on the amount of money that you're spending, you may get a small or bigger type of shank within a shoe. What a shank is it's ultimately something that goes a piece of plastic, could be a piece of carbon fiber, but generally what it's meant to do is it's meant to prevent the mid part of the shoe from twisting, okay? Twisting your foot is actually going to cause injury, and is something that, ultimately can cause your ankle or cause your foot to come off the footbed type of thing. And a midfoot shank also helps store a little bit of that energy and return it as well. And so as a result, that in combination with, the spring, it's a springboard effect in combination with your landing and return, makes it a little bit, less forceful upon an athlete's lower extremities, right? Keep in mind, this isn't just basketball, but it could also be other sports. There's a lot of running and jumping in a football. There's a lot of running and jumping in soccer as well, when you think about it. And so they all have different designs within the shoe meant to alleviate the common types of forces that are being put upon an athlete's body. And as a result, there are performance differences between the shoes, okay? So traction, cushion, midfoot shank, those are 3 important things that you want to look out for. Now, what else do we want to look out for as a basketball player? Well, the next one that I want to think about is this back part over here. You can see how my hand almost cups that. You want this heel to cup your foot. And in a lot of cases, there's actually extra padding along the top up here so that your ankle, or not your ankle, but your heel really falls into the back of this and doesn't have any slippage, okay? Especially with growing kids, I will mention, there's this, there's this slipping effect that I like to see where a shoe looks kind of clunky on a kid. It's kind of like a boot effect, where if you've worn boots before, when you walk, the shoe kind of drops itself a little bit and can cause a little bit of rubbing along the Achilles and on the backside of your foot. And that situation is something that can be alleviated by doing something what we call a racer's loop. A racer's loop will really force the foot to get encapsulated within that little area without any give up here, versus a normal way that we usually tie our laces cause extra movement and can recreate the slippage effect, right? But nowadays you may notice there's a lot of mids and lows that are being sold for basketball shoes. And there was this common misconception that high ankle shoes, right, high tops, were essential for protecting your ankles. Now, I've had my ankle injuries and my ankle issues in the past, and I actually do prefer some of my low tops over high tops now. And it was actually something that Kobe did while he was going through his own ankle injuries. There was talk about how, he mentioned how he went and he learned how to tap dance to strengthen his ankles, and he started to actually observe other sports, especially soccer or football, right? And notice that the game of soccer requires much more in terms of the lower body, right? Running and kicking and things like that. And so, but Kobe noticed that their ankles were able to articulate in some very interesting and powerful ways, and needed movement, and the low ankle and the low tops were actually something that allowed greater mobility. And that ankle injuries weren't due to having a low cut top, but due to the fact that the foot was coming off of the footbed. Okay. And so a good lockdown, right? A heel fit and good lockdown of a shoe contribute to security and safety within a basketball shoe. Okay. That would be one of the main, I would say number 4 in terms of on the list, lockdown. Some people might say lockdown's the first thing to be important. That's important in your shoe. Everybody's foot's a little bit different. A lot of shoes are built on different sizings and lasts of people, copies of people's feet, models of them to try to replicate something that works for them, and then they'll enlarge and shrink those for retail sizes. But the way that a shoe fits your foot, everybody's got different shoes that they enjoy and that they like because they all fit people differently. There's the narrow and the wide foot, and then the lanky ones, etc. You got to find what works for you in combination with the type of play style that you're looking for. Are you trying to run and jump? Are you trying to move quickly close to the floor? Are you rebounding a lot? Are you jumping extremely high and needing the extra cushioning for those landings? It's important to think about what type of shoe you need for your type of play style. 2 other things, especially if you are, again, like I said, an ankle roll type of person, there's what we call an outrigger over here. You can see where the fabric ends right here. That's where your pinky toe is going to be. But there's extra material out here so that while you're pushing out this direction, your foot doesn't come over and cause that ankle roll, right? Because you can think of and imagine if I pushing out this way and that's not there, I'm more likely to invert my ankle and hurt myself that way. So this extra piece right here is called an outrigger. And if you can think about the forces coming down in this direction, this helps support it, right? This little triangular part right here helps prevent that. Now you'll see something like Zion's shoes have a very prominent outrigger. Sometimes what it does is it just helps create a bigger forefoot print there and allows better traction and things like that. I will even say Westbrook shoes are pretty good with it. Kyrie's, I will mention, Kyrie has this thing where the side of his shoe is a little bit more rounded so that he can push off in that direction. And if you're somebody that constantly gets ankle injuries and things like that, Kyrie's might be something you will want to consider maybe moving away from if that is a situation that makes you feel unstable. For example, I have a pair of Kyrie 6s where the bottom is rounded a bit more, and as a result, I don't feel as stable in them, especially when moving to that side because it has a tendency to tip over. But again, I think that has more to do with my own personal running and body mechanics. When you do take a look at certain shoes that you have and the wear pattern at the bottom, the most worn down areas should very likely be in front and underneath of your big toe. As for mine is a little bit more of a forefoot type of situation, which means I'm putting too much pressure toward the lateral side of my foot, causing that type of ankle injury. Last but not least, I would say the breathability of a shoe is actually extremely important too. You know, it's no fun if you're playing and your feet get extremely warm and sweaty and hot in a pair of basketball shoes. There are very few nowadays that will really encase your foot in something unbreathable. What I will say that nowadays we have a lot of fabrics, we have a lot of woven type of uppers, and as a result, it actually creates, you know, great breathability. But I will also mention there are certain shoes that I've had, a pair of older Jordans that had a little bit more of a vinyl type of upper that was extremely unbreathable, and actually noticed how sweaty my socks and my feet got afterwards. And it's not something that makes me want to wear that shoe again. So, but the give and the take of that is that if you're going to make something more breathable, you're usually going to be using weaker materials. Something that's less breathable, something like leather or like those vinyls as well, something that is extremely structured. Those situations tend to be heavier. So, you know, it's a balance between, do you want the heavier shoe that might last a little bit longer? Do you want the fabric shoe that's going to be lighter and more breathable, but might not have the longevity, especially if, for example, some people have what they call a toe drag, or they have parts of the inside of their foot that start to rub against each other, and that can cause the deterioration of those shoes as well. And just kind of to end this off, you know, this type of knowledge that I have is from playing basketball over the years, right? Doing what I can on the court, learning about the game, my own experiences with shoes and things like that. I do have a little story that I posted in the past about, you know, what it is and why I enjoy shoes and basketball so much, and my own little journey through learning about this. But just so you guys understand, you know, I'm open to conversation. My Instagram handle, the operator, take the E's and make them into threes. The operator is where I like to post and share all this basketball content so that we can all learn and enjoy this game that we love, you know, and grow from it too. So, you know, if you had questions, I hope that was useful. I hope that brought some ideas to light, or brought a little bit of, you know, just open your mind as to understanding that not all basketball shoes are built the same, and that if you're looking for a specific type of play style, or if you have constantly become injured wearing a certain pair of shoes, etc., it might be time to look into those types of situations. Especially as well too, a lot of the newer foams that we have in some of our shoes may be very comfortable, but over long term might stop giving the return of the cushioning that we like, and as a result can create, you know, those injuries and those issues with our legs. So, you know, ERoO loves shoes. That's what I'm going to hashtag this as. Hope you guys share this, talk a little bit about it, and understand, you know, the shoe in basketball is the ultimate piece of equipment. It's between you and the floor, right? There's nothing else, you know, your jersey, your underwear, your socks, those are minor. Those aren't going to change your performance on the floor. But, you know, your shoes at the end of the day are like in a car. The tires are extremely important in a race, because those are those dictate how much of a return you get from the ground. Does that make sense? How much of your forces are actually being absorbed or actually give back. That equation was something that the top level players care about and want to understand, so that they can become the best at this game as much as they can. So no, I'm just a dude that loves basketball. I hope you guys do too. That's probably why you guys may be following me. And you know, let's come chat, let's converse. I'd like to continue doing this as I can and share a little bit more about the shoes that I have, so that we can talk about the pros and the cons and the things that we like and don't like about, you know, the performances of them. Again, this is Eric, ERoO, you can call me, with the operator, and we'll talk again about shoes pretty soon. You guys have a great one.